Did you know that humans and bananas share about 50% of their DNA? Well, this game I'm about to show you shares about 50% of its DNA with another video game you might know, Fire Emblem. Hello my parasocial friends, this is Idra here. Today we're looking at Dark Deity. Dark Deity is a tactical RPG developed by Sword & Axe LLC and published by Freedom Games. It is currently free to purchase on Epic Game Store, so grab it while you can, or maybe you'll already have grabbed it as you do every week, because you like free stuff, don't you? Well, subscribing to this channel is also free, so might as well do it, right? Today I would like to begin with something I noticed that my previous videos, in my own opinion, have kind of been all over the place. I wanted them to be kind of a first look / review, but instead of doing that, going forward, I would like to try a more systemic approach. Having said that, I'm going to be focusing on 3 key points, which in my opinion make or break the game, i.e. compelled me to try and play the set game myself instead of just watching the gameplay on YouTube or Twitch or whatever platform you're using to consume video content nowadays. If I will get feedback in the comments, I might change or add bullet points to that list in the future. The key points I mentioned, which I would like to focus on, are plot or story, gameplay or mechanics, and lastly sound design and music, which is going to be its own bullet point. I'm also going to add some personal opinions at the end, but without further ado, let's move on to the plot. The game starts in the Delian Kingdom, where the ruler, King Varric, has started war. For whatever reason though, he's completely unprepared and he forcibly conscripts all of the students in the Brookstead Military Academy at whatever stage of education they are. I'm sure a bunch of kids is going to turn the tide of the war, King Varric. 4 students / main characters, Irving, Garrick, Marine, and Alden, are among those recruited and become embroiled in this war. You're being sent to the front to die as cannon fodder, but somewhere along the way, without spoiling too much, it becomes apparent that there are darker forces plotting in the shadows. And lo and behold, suddenly your party is 30 people and you're involved in a quest to save the world using ancient magical artifacts known as the Eternal Aspect, which also, by the way, add a gameplay purpose. These Eternal Aspects can later be equipped and they give you certain bonuses. The writing is kind of generic, you know. Ragtag group of kids on a quest to save the world is not exactly an original idea. Nevertheless, the writing itself, the dialogues and characters are fairly good in my opinion. Moving on. Let's be honest, gameplay in this game is heavily, and I mean heavily, inspired by Fire Emblem. It consists of moving units around on a grid-based battlefield in a turn-based combat. Look, even the battle animations are kind of the same. Anyway, characters also utilize an advantage system where there are different classes which are better or worse against other certain classes. Also, each character has 4 different weapons which modify your attack values like damage, accuracy, crit chance, and speed. Those weapons can be upgraded using tokens. Weapons have 4 tiers, which require different tiers of tokens to upgrade. Upgrading a weapon twice will advance it to the next tier, except for the last tier where you can only upgrade it to +1. Your characters can level up in battle and gain a class advancement at level 10 and then another one at level 30. What's interesting though is that you don't have to commit to a single path of advancement. For instance, an archer can go on to become a swordsman and then on his second advancement can go back to being an archer again, but a better one. Dark Deity, unlike Fire Emblem, doesn't have permadeath. When characters are defeated in battle, they die, but not die, more like faint in Pokemon. They remain playable but gain a permanent wound, which costs them a random stat point or maximum HP. This still punishes players permanently for losing a character, but it lets players decide to continue fighting if they decide that the trade-off is worth it. Due to the lower penalty for losing units, though, the game's difficulty might be considered more challenging. I have not experienced that, to be honest. Between missions, characters can have bonding, which essentially is have support conversations that increase their affinity for each other. I do not know if it affects anything gameplay-wise in any way, but it gives depth and character development. I have to admit though, as I played, I went through all of this bonding and I really grew fond of certain characters and connections between them. And I even started rooting for them to succeed in their quest. Now, that being said, since there is no permadeath, I really didn't give a fuck, and most of my characters die in later missions. In each and every one of them. Moving on. Sound design and music. Dark Deity has a limited amount of different music tracks. You can basically split it into three types: story, menu, and battle. Let me elaborate a little bit. There's a single track looped in the menu where you upgrade and do the bonding. There's a limited amount of soundtracks when you're in a battle. Like there's different battle themes, like 3 maybe or 4. And there's a single track when you advance the story and you're in this overworld map type thing. Now, that being said, I really like that there's some minimalistic voice acting, which corresponds with what the character is saying, kind of. Like when the character is laughing, you can hear them laughing actually. So it doesn't really feel like a visual novel where it's just walls of text. And that's about it for Dark Deity. Overall, I enjoyed the game. Currently, I have not finished it yet, but I wanted to put out this video before the next Thursday, where another free game is dropped on EGS. But so far I'm 16 hours in. I do not speedrun through the missions. I really read all of the text that the game gives me to read. I do not really pay attention to minute details of the story, but I have a general idea of what the story is about. I'm more invested in the characters than the story, because I can pretty much predict what the story is going to be like later on. Like how it's going to end, probably, with them saving the world. Spoilers. Anyway, I do recommend playing this game. If you want to have a little bit of fun in a turn-based combat RPG, which is like Fire Emblem but isn't Fire Emblem, then just give Dark Deity a try. You might like it, you might not like it, but nonetheless, if you have seen this review and decided to try it, I would be super happy. With that in mind, please subscribe to the channel, give a like to this video, and also leave a comment with some feedback. I would highly appreciate it. One last thing, you might be expecting another video this week on the Evil Dead, the game. I've decided not to review it, or rather not upload a video about it, because it's mostly online. There is no like single player mode to it. I mean, there is a mode where you can play with AI, but I just don't think that I would have anything interesting to say about that game. It's a kind of a Dead by Daylight type of game, which also was free on EGS some time back. Another reason why I don't want to review it is that I am not really familiar with the Evil Dead franchise. I mean, I know about the movies, but I have not seen all of them, so I don't want to do the game, or rather the franchise, injustice by just shitting on the game because I don't really understand the significance of certain things, you know? If you're a fan of the Evil Dead, great, go and give Evil Dead game a try. I gave it a try and I really liked the finisher moves of the characters. And that's about what I have to say about the Evil Dead, the game. See you next week with another free EGS game weekly review, and bye bye.